What is up, book nerds? My name is Hilary, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I am going to be doing my July TBR. It is that time of year again, and I am excited to do this one. I have a lot of books I want to read, and it's my birthday month, so I'm excited to see what books I'm going to be reading. But the ones I'm going to be talking about first are the ones that I'm going to be doing for Quest-a-thon. In the month of July, it is a new read-along. So we have Quest-a-thon and Summerween that is happening, and I'm excited to be doing both of those. So let's get right on into the books that I'm reading for those, and then we'll get into my TBR game. So here are the stack of books I'm going to be reading for Quest-a-thon, or hoping to read and finish. The first book I'm going to be reading for this is for my weapons prompt, and to pass this prompt, you have to finish 2 of the prompts that are listed in it, and for that it is a reread and a weapon on the cover of the book. And for me, that book is going to be An Ember in the Ashes, and this is a reread. I read it a year and a half ago, and I'm excited to get back into this. It says, Leia is a slave, Elias is a soldier, neither is free. Under the martial empire, defiance is met with death. Leia and her family do not challenge the Empire. They've seen what happens to those who do. But when Leia's brother is arrested for treason, she is forced to make a decision in exchange for help from rebels who promise to rescue her brother. She will risk her life to spy for them from within the Empire's greatest military academy. There, Leia meets Elias, the school's finest soldier, and secretly its most unwilling. He and Leia will soon realize that their destinies are intertwined and that their choices will change the fate of the Empire itself. I'm excited to reread this. I think the first time I read it, I gave it like 4 stars, and I do have the rest of the series, so I can do a binge read of it or read the first one this month, and maybe in August I'll read the rest of the books to this series. So for the light prompt part of this quest, I am going to be doing the 2 prompts, which is any rep and a found family trope, and for that I chose the book The Gilded Wolves by Roshni Chachki. And this one, I know it's like a heist book. They say if you like Six of Crows, you will like this book. So I'm excited to read this. I don't want to know a lot about going into it because with it being not a super long fantasy, and I think it's a duology also, I don't want to be spoiled for anything that happens in the book. But I am so excited to read this. I've had this for over a year, and I'm finally going to be getting to it. For the strategy part of this quest, I am using the prompts of sci-fi or fantasy and also within a series. And for that book, I am so excited to get to this one because I recently read the first one and loved it. The book that I chose is The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. The first book is about this girl named Rin, and she grew up an orphan and was poor, and she gets accepted to this academy, or this synagogue I should say, and she goes from there to become a soldier for the Empress, and a lot of stuff happens. It is very high fantasy and can be kind of gory at times, so I would say check for trigger warnings before you read this series. But I'm excited to get to this one because the ending of the Poppy War was crazy, and I can't wait to see what happens. And yeah, I mean, so many characters in the last one died and so much war happened. But yeah, I'm excited to see where R.F. Kuang takes the story. For adventure, I chose to use the 2 prompts of it has to not have the, if, and, or, and words like that in the title, and then also a 1-word titled book. And for me, that book is Hopeless by Colleen Hoover. I figured it would be nice to throw in a romance in between all these fantasies and just to get a break from them. I'm excited to read this one. It says on the back, beloved and best-selling author Colleen Hoover returns with the spellbinding story of 2 young people with devastating pasts who embark on a passionate, intriguing journey to discover the lessons of life, love, trust, and above all, the healing power that only truth can bring. Colleen Hoover is becoming one of my favorite new authors that I've recently discovered this year, thanks to everybody on BookTube and Book Talk. And I've read a couple of her books, like It Ends With Us and Ugly Love. Also, November 9th, which I've loved all those books. And I also read her thriller Verity and loved that one. But I'm excited to see what I think about this one. because this is, I believe, one of her older books that she wrote, but I can't wait to see what my opinion will be on this one. For the dark part of this board, the prompts I am using are a book with a dark color and a book with an unlikable or morally gray character, and for that I chose the book The Beast by Katie Robert. I have recently gotten into reading her Wicked Villain series and have enjoyed it, and this one is kind of like a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but not really. It has a polygamy relationship going on in it, and I'm excited to get to this. I don't like knowing a lot going into Katie Robert books, but what I do know is that all these books, this is the 4th one in the series, is a retelling of giving the villains from Disney movies a happily ever after. And like I said, I've enjoyed the first 3 of this series, and I've read her Dark Olympian series and have enjoyed those also. So yeah, I can't wait to get to this one. And then for the final battle, the prompts that I'm using for this one is a book with a map, which would be like on the inside of the book, at the beginning of the book, and a new to you author that I've never read before, and for that I chose the book The 5th Season by N.K. Jemisin. I have never read a book by this author, and I've heard great things about this book, and I know Sahar, who is hosting this read-along, and I will tag her booktube channel down below, has read this and has liked it, and I can't wait to get to it. But it says, I'll just read a little bit on the back. It says, it starts with the great red rift across the heart of the world's sole continent, spewing ash that blots out the sun. It starts with death, with a murdered son and a missing daughter. It starts with betrayal, a long dormant wounds rising up to fester. This is the stillness, a land familiar with catastrophe and where the power of the earth is wielded, a weapon and where there is no mercy. This is going to be, I feel like, a really good read. I'm predicting it's going to be a 5-star for me, and yeah, I can't wait to get to this one either. And like I said at the beginning of this video, we also have Summerween this month, and I try and participate in this. I did not get to the Winterween that happened earlier this year, but I'm excited to get to Summerween, and I just want to thank Gabby and Olivia, and I will link their channels down below, for putting this read-along together again for another year. And let's get into the prompts I'm going to be doing and what books I'm going to be reading. So for the prompt of read a book with dark/night on the cover, so this could be colors or anything, I'm going to read The Haunting of Adeline, and this also covers for the prompt of read a book with haunt on the cover. And I'm excited to get to this one. I don't know much about it, but that's how I like to go into some of these books. I'm pretty sure it's a romance, and more like a darker romance. But yeah, I'm excited to get to this one. It is going to be up front on my Kindle that I read. And yeah. And for the book of a slasher book, I'm hoping to get to My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. I recently got this on Pango Books, and I have heard probably mixed reviews about this, but I'm excited to read it because I love slasher films. But it says on the back, you won't find a more hardcore 80s horror fan than high school senior Jade Daniels. And you won't find a place less supportive of girls who wear torn t-shirts and too much eyeliner than Proof Rock. Nestled 8,000 feet up the mountain in Idaho, right alongside Indian Lake, home to both Camp Blood, site of a massacre 50 years ago, and as of this summer, Terra Nova, a second home celebrity, Camelot, being carved out of the National Forest. That's not the only thing that's getting carved out, though. This, Jade knows, is the start of a slasher. But what kind? Who's wearing the mask? Jade's got an encyclopedia recall of every horror movie on the shelf, but will that help her survive? Can she get a final girl trained enough to stop all this from happening? Does she even want to? Isn't a slasher exactly what her hometown deserves? This just sounds really good, and I'm excited to get to it. So for this TBR game, I'm hoping to incorporate already the books that I've picked out that I'm reading for this month, but I will pick 5 prompts from this cup, and as you guys know, I have to find a book that will fulfill those prompts. So let's just get right on into this. So the first prompt for my TBR game is a paperback book. This is easy. I have plenty of paperbacks on my stack of books right here. And for this prompt, I'm going to be choosing An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. And like I told you before, I'm excited to reread this and to fill this for a prompt for the Quest-a-thon. Alright, pick number 2. So for pick number 2, we've got a book with a one-word title. Man, I think that this TBR game is really being nice to me this month because I have so many books I want to read, and some of them are pretty lengthy. But for this prompt, I'm going to choose Hopeless by Colleen Hoover. Like I told you at the beginning, I'm excited to get to this and to see if I like this as much as her other books. And we have pick number 3. Which is a trilogy. I mean, I'm just going to pick a book from my stack that is part of a trilogy and I'm excited to read. And that book is The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. This one is a lengthy book. It has over 600 pages in it. And like I told you before, I really loved the Poppy War and just want to see where Rin goes on her journey into the second book because so much did happen in the first book. Pick number 4. Put that one right back in. Alright, so for pick number 4, I got a banned book. Let me look up and see what books I have that are technically banned and let you guys know what I pick. So for banned book, I picked Me and Earl and the Dying Girl by Jessie Andrews. This says, it isn't a universally acknowledged truth that high school sucks, but on the first day of his senior year, Greg Gaines thinks he's figured it out. The answer to the basic existential question, how is it possible to exist in a place that sucks so bad? His strategy, remain at the periphery at all times, keep an insanely low profile, make mediocre films with the one person who is even sort of his friend, Earl. This plan works for exactly 8 hours. Then Greg's mom forces him to become friends with a girl who has cancer that brings about the destruction of Greg's entire life. This one, I've never read this before, and it is an older book, and I believe it is a TV show now, or a movie, and I'm excited to read this. I've heard good things about it, and yeah, I think it's going to be a heart-wrenching story also. And then for my last pick, so pick number 5, is another banned book. So let me go look some more and see what I can find. And for my last prompt, banned book, I chose Moss Volume 1 by Art Spiegelman. This is a story about a father and a son and during the World War II and the Holocaust and stuff, but I am excited to get to this one and read it. I read it back in high school and absolutely loved it. We read volumes 1 and 2 back when I was in high school my senior year, and like I said, I really enjoyed these books and can't wait to experience it all over again. But that is it for this video. I have a lot of books to read this next month, plus I don't know for sure what we're all doing, and yeah, that about sums up the books that I'm going to be reading. But if you like this video, hit that like button down below, and if you want to know when I am posting, hit that subscribe and that notification bell, and you will be the first to know. And as always, keep on reading, people. Bye!